I watched Dr. Baird go from $8.50 an hour to $12.50 an hour, $15.50 an hour, $18.50 an hour, $22.50 an hour. He retired out doing some ridiculously big numbers because he focused on quality and hitting my goal on a daily basis.
Welcome to Investment Grade Practices podcast, where we believe private practice dentists deserve to get the lifestyle today while building an asset for tomorrow. Join your host, Victoria Peterson, to design the practice of your dreams and secure your financial independence. Let's get started.
It's always an amazing time when Bruce and I get together, and I think we love talking about investments and value more than any other topic. Maybe second to leadership. They seem to go hand in hand for the two of us. And I hope that you had as many great takeaways as I did from this interaction between Bruce and myself. He has been a terrific business partner for the last 17 years. And I think it's because we think differently than 95% of the world, and yet we don't seem to think that our different thinking is anything unusual. Let's see if we can break down this thought process a little bit. Investment grade practices and owners of independent private practices who really excel, here's the question that they ask themselves every day. What do I want? And I know that sounds simple, but I want you to write it down and I want you to ponder it. What do I want? And each time you go through your day and say, man, I'm doing this because it's an expectation that someone else has of me, you're going to start to get really frustrated, I think, because when you answer this question, what do I want? What do I want? I know that 99% of people in dentistry are very altruistic. They really are concerned about the community and serving people well. That's why most of us got in dentistry. And when you see roadblocks of, I can't provide the quality of care that I want because the patient's perception of insurance, for example, limits me, or my team doesn't show up as enthusiastic as I am about the procedures, or whatever those roadblocks are, that's the time to get creative. That's the time to really reach out if you're stuck and find someone to be a thinking partner, because successful entrepreneurs surround themselves with people who elevate their thinking. They stay very clear on what they want, what their higher purpose is, what their higher goal is, what their highest values are. And they are not dogmatic, but they are determined to live in that way. And you hear that in Bruce's voice over and over again. People reach out to him because he has been extremely consistent in one thing. I'm going to do what I'm going to do because that's the way I'm going to do it. And it is based on his one vision: high tech, high touch. I want to always provide my patients with the latest technology. Throughout my career, I want to be progressing as a clinician. I have seen Bruce, after Bruce hung up the handpiece, he was taking classes on dental dentistry and 3D printing. Even though he's not in the day-to-day clinical, he is still such a clinical advocate of doctors. It's in his blood. He's also very entrepreneurial and saying, I only have two goals. Number one is to take great care of my patients. And number two is to make my goal. So when he walks in the morning, if his goal is $10,000 for the day, and there's only 8,000 on the books, he knows without a doubt that his team is going to do everything in their power to fill that gap. They're going to pull patients out of hygiene. They're going to use their short call list. They're going to talk to the patient in the chair to see if they want to extend appointments. And he's going to be flexible enough as a leader to say, let's make it happen, whatever we need to do, because my goal is to take great care of my patients and to make my goal. And I have watched him live that for the last decade and a half. I watched Dr. Baird go from $8.50 an hour to $12.50 an hour, $15.50 an hour, $18.50 an hour, $22.50 an hour. He retired out doing some ridiculously big numbers because he focused on quality and hitting my goal on a daily basis. And I think that's the takeaway. Sometimes we get into our grand vision and our grand scheme of where I want to be a year from now, 20 years from now. It all happens through daily intention. So start there. Start with, what do I want? As a philosophy of care, as a patient bill of rights, what do I want my patients to experience? What would I like my team to experience? Hell, what do I want to experience as an owner and a leader on a daily basis? How do I want to feel at the end of the day? What do I want my bank account to look like? Because our goal as leaders is to take care of the people around us and to make our goals. It's just that simple. And that is at the heart of building an investment grade practice. Know what your financial freedom number is, know where your gap is, and work with someone to help you really chart the course between here and there. If you do that, if you know your end game, as Bruce kept saying, start with the end in mind, start with the end in mind. Know 10 years from now what your sell date is so that you can start planning it. To get top dollar, I can tell you, you'll probably sell and work at least 2 years, if not 3. So the days of just putting a for sale sign up and within 6 months to a year have a buyer and you toss them the keys and walk out the door, you can do that, but you're probably throwing 20, 30, 40% of the value out the window. It's not something I would recommend if you can help it. The days of hiding from your team, like, oh my gosh, one day I'm going to get old and I'm going to retire. Shh, don't tell anybody. You want your team to be an advocate for you. You want your team to be part of the process so that they can help onboarding, make the transition exciting and make the transition easy for themselves, the new doctor, and the patients. Those are the kind of things we work with when we're helping you build an investment grade practice and optimize what you have today and be prepared for that day when you want to hang up the handpiece. So, Bruce, thanks again for being my guest this week. It was really just such a treat to have you on, and I appreciate who you are and how you role model it for the rest of us.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Investment Grade Practices Podcast. If you find value in this episode, help us spread the word by passing it along to a dental friend, subscribe, and give us a like on iTunes or Spotify. Learn more about building your investment grade practice at productivedentist.com today.